But we're going to start our show with breaking news from Ramona Shelburne, and it has something to do with the international stage as well, my friends, because Joel Embiid has committed to play for Team USA in the 2024 Olympics. He informed Grant Hill of his decision that he was going to play earlier today. Remember, this was a point of discussion because Joel Embiid had the citizenship to also play for France as well. We weren't sure where he would decide to play, but ultimately, again, he has made the decision to play for Team USA. And Brian Windhorst, you spent more time than anyone with Team USA. You spent much of your summer in Manila. How much of an impact is this going to have, do you think?
Well, it's huge for two reasons. Number one, the Americans don't have terrific options at center. You just look down the list of the great centers in the league. Most of them are foreign-born, including most of them European. And so to be able to get the MVP who also plays center is huge. And frankly, even if Joel Embiid isn't able to play for the Americans, he's been injured at the end of the last few seasons, keeping him away from France is enormous because the French are the hosts next year. They were against the Americans in the gold medal game in Tokyo. They're a major contender. And if Joel Embiid is not going to play for the Americans, the last thing you wanted to do was face him and Victor Wembanyama against France. So this is a huge priority for Grant Hill and Team USA. From what I'm told, Grant actually met with Joel a year ago. He became a U.S. citizen in the middle of 2022. Grant flew to Philadelphia and met with him, really trying to do a recruitment over the last 12 months to get this commitment that he got today.
Yeah, this commitment really helps improve the USA's depth at the center position. And one thing that I do like is offensively, each one of the guys potentially suiting up for Team USA, whether that is Bam Adebayo, whether that is Anthony Davis, and now Joel Embiid, they have different offensive skill sets and strengths, but defensively, which they will need to bring that if we learned anything from the summer, defense is what will carry this team over, especially when you're trying to build chemistry last minute. Defensively, these guys are all very quality guys, and that starts with Joel Embiid. We all know how ferocious he is at the rim. And so for him to be able to make this commitment, offensively, we love the versatility, but defensively, I think that's what's going to carry this group through.
This is a big word for me. Emphatic, okay? Tending to express oneself in a forceful speech or to take decisive action. Now, look, this is exactly what Joel Embiid did. Like, we heard about the phone calls that LeBron made and the conversations that were had, you know, about a month ago or a couple weeks ago. Joel Embiid was saying, nah, I ain't doing all that phone talking. I'm gonna come stand on the front line and I'm gonna commit, the commitment. And he know that we're lacking size when it comes down to representing the country. And we're talking about one of the most skilled centers to ever play the game of basketball. Now, do Team USA need his offense? Probably not. But the thing that's underrated about Joel Embiid is his rim protection and his ability to anchor a defense and be able to bang with the likes of Giannis and big Jonas Valanciunas. You know what? Hats off to my boy Joel Embiid, the MVP. That's the way to stand tall. Stand on the front line.
Well, it's particularly emphatic when you look at the number of players that we have seen over the last couple of days, star players say, hey, you know what? I think I'm going to raise my hand for the 2024 Paris Olympics. It's giving me major Avengers Assemble vibes here. Take a listen.
I do have a lot of interest in playing in Paris. Obviously, you know, it's a lot to be had, you know, here with the Lakers, obviously, in this season, but got a lot of interest on playing in Paris.
Definitely, if all things stay the same, I want to be, you know, playing. It's the one thing I haven't done, and I also understand, you know, the opportunity for Team USA to kind of reassert yourselves as dominant in the world.
Would you be interested in being on the U.S. team if they asked you?
I will play in the Olympics next year.
I will play in the Olympics next year. This feels like the beginning of a superhero movie, particularly when you look at this superstar-studded lineup. LeBron James at the top, Kevin Durant, Joel Embiid. These are the star players that we are accustomed to seeing in a Team USA uniform. I don't want to relegate the A, B, C team discussion that we've had. Who is the best in the world? Who owns the title to who is the best team in the world? Is it Germany? Is it Team USA? But let's just settle this here and now, Brian. Seeing the potential roster for Team USA in the 2024 Paris Olympics. Is it over? Should we just go home now? Is Team USA the clear-cut favorites?
No, they will not be. They will be a favorite, but our advantage in world basketball has pretty much been eliminated. Also, a commitment in October doesn't mean that you're going to be able to play in next July. And that's not that any of these guys are going to back out. I just know that guys are banged up. A number of these players are older. Joel Embiid and LeBron James couldn't have played if the Olympics were this summer because they were banged up. And so I'm going to tell you something. Anybody who thinks that the Americans don't need to take naturalized players, I got news for you. The Americans barely won in 2021, and that was with a great team and Kevin Durant playing awesome. We have lost 6 times in the last 3 major international competitions. That's not because we weren't focused. That's because the other teams are good. They are going to need every single bit of talent they have because they are still going to be out of position on chemistry together. This is absolutely not over. I don't care who says they're going to play.
As someone who has played overseas, the international game is very different than the game we see played in the NBA. And I think Brian highlighted this over the course of the summer. The way that the game, the pace, the way it's officiated, even the offensive and defensive schemes, the way you're comfortable playing in the U.S. is very different than you have to sort of adjust to playing internationally. So I agree, there are no such things as favorites. Now, obviously, if you count the talent, you have expectations, but favorites, you have to put into effect the chemistry, you have to put into effect the strategy, and also the growth of talent that is just permeating the world right now. So yes, on paper, the talent should be able to bring you a gold, but the reality is the game has really caught up to the rest of the league.
Caught up to who? Caught up to who? Listen, let me explain something to you and Wendy. If you're telling me that this next summer I'm going to be able to watch Kevin Durant, LeBron James, Steph Curry, Joel Embiid, Jason Tatum, just those 5 alone, they are the favorites. And then you can fill in the blanks with the rest of the bench. Look, the only problem that we have is when we lose games is when we don't send our best. But if all those guys are committed like they say they are and want to play and are going to play and they show up, then damn it, they're going to be the favorites by a landslide, in my opinion. There's no other way around it.
Telling you, Perk, the Serbians finished second. They finished second in this World Cup, and they didn't have Jokic. And I could make a case for several other teams. I'm telling you, it's not 2028, it's not 2008 anymore. Forget about 92. It's not even 2016 anymore. We're going to have to work every single angle we have, and our margin of error is still going to be tight. I'm telling you, I've sat there and watched it.
With all due respect, it seems like the United States, one of the biggest foes is going to be health. If they can be healthy, I think they are the favorites. But is it by a smidge? Yes, because it used to be there was this fountain in between in terms of talent. That's not the case anymore.
Ultimately, how did Embiid come to this monumental decision?
I mean, this was a really hard decision for Joel because he's born in Cameroon. He has ties there, and I think if Cameroon were qualified for the Olympics, he'd be playing for Cameroon. But they're not qualified, and it's no sure thing for them to be one of the last 4 teams in. And so then it comes down to the USA and France. And he's a French citizen, he's a U.S. citizen. But you see guys like LeBron James, Stephen Curry, former MVPs in this league, and the reigning MVP says, we all got to get together to get the USA back on top. Like, this is really, when the U.S. finishes 4th in the FIBA World Cup, that hurt a lot of NBA players. You saw the social media reaction. You saw people watching this. And I think he feels a sense of responsibility, not just to the country that took him in as a citizen and that his son was born here in the United States, son Arthur, to win for his country and for the country that he's become a citizen in. I think that's a personal decision, but I also think there's this sense now as the MVP of the league, when you see the other MVPs lining up to play, it's like an Avengers team that's going to go to Paris. You want to be a part of that.
Yeah, that's exactly what Malika called it. And, you know, when you hear Joel Embiid, especially coming into the offseason, now training camp, all he talks about really is winning. And so this gives him a really great chance to win in the Olympics.
Yeah.
I'm on fire. It's NBA,